Welcome to Sex and Soul, a podcast about all things related to sexuality, relationships, and the deeper dimensions of our lives. I am your host, Lynn S. I am a sexuality and relationship coach and mentor, as well as a tantric yoga teacher. I'm so excited that you are here. May Sex and Soul light you up from inside and change your life to be more orgasmic, joyful, and deep. Welcome to Sex and Soul. Today I have Nico with me. I caught an amazing man. So happy to have you, Nico. Nico is, Nico Canon, Nicolas Canon. He's born in Colombia. We met in Turkey a month ago, 2 months ago. We had a beautiful just connection. Nico is, doing very powerful work with men, with relationships, with women. Is very much in tune with, I think, how I feel Nico is very much in tune with what I call the vertical and the horizontal. So vertical as in God, as in we are here on the spiritual path as human beings and realizing that and remembering that. And then also on the vertical, on the ego level. Yeah, you're very much in your work also offering all the deep, trauma informed or trauma tools. And I just watching all of your videos. I'm like, damn. And I send you messages like, Nico, good stuff. So yeah, welcome.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I think this is a bit of a cliche question to start with, but let's go for it anyways, because and maybe you can answer it in a way that is a bit new or so, whatever comes, feels good today. And I'm
Mhm.
curious about, of course, your own journey because one doesn't just become, a men's coach, a relationship coach, coach for leaders. Um, can you tell me a bit more like today, what feels why you had certain shifts in your own life that made you really kind of wake up and that made you realize, oh, it's time to go within. Yeah, it's time to really
Mhm.
look at myself and to look at my life. And of course, I'm asking this question because men that will be watching this will,
Mhm.
of course, be able to recognize themselves and learn from that.
Yeah. So if I heard you correctly, you know, why, why did I decide to do the work that I'm doing? Why did I decide to become whoever, whatever I am today?
Mm.
Um, in line with my journey, there's been a few key moments that if our life is a story, which it is, there are characters, there are villains, which are just other characters that are very essential for character development. There are teachers, there's a storyline, and every person, and I'll speak for myself. I've gone through moments that I refer to as initiatory wounds or ritual wounds. And what I mean by that in a simple way is we all go through stuff that is painful and that hurts really bad, and the hurt can be, it's always because of a way in which we were seeing reality that was inaccurate. um, Whether we played the villain or the victim, both of those were an expression of not seeing things clearly. So in making it more practical, for me it's been pain that has molded me. Mm, Namely moments of heartbreak where I crossed a line and then I destroyed something that was beautiful, and then I looked back and realized, wow, like I lacked maturity, awareness, and have work to do. But also moments where I allowed for someone else to cross a line, and where I thought that love meant being permissive and being too flexible and meek, and confused people pleasing niceness for for love, and then understanding that that's just as toxic and unconscious as being different or being mean. So um, yeah, the work and who I am today is the result of a lot of, I don't want to call them bad decisions because I am who I am because of them, but painful ones, which in my case, it all the way from alcoholism, drug addiction, overdoses, a life of a lot of promiscuity, so a lot of darkness, uh, hanging out with very shady people, and I think there's a timeline where I could have ended up dead or in jail.
Mm.
Um, Flipping to the other side, which I thought was the solution, which is working with shamans, medicine people, elders, and like trying to live a righteous, spiritual,
Mm.
good man of service kind of life, and coming, and this has been the last couple of years, coming to the realization that this also is not sustainable because it dismisses humanity, dismisses where I'm actually at, which is, in this one, there was an arrogance where I don't care about anybody.
Mm.
I'm beyond consequences. And in this one, also a certain kind of arrogance, which is everything is my responsibility and I carry the weight of the world on my shoulders. And I'm going to pretend to be a saint, a sage, or, an enlightened person when in reality I'm human and I'm flawed.
Mm.
And humility means recognizing where I'm at and the extent of my current capacity, aiming for more, always for expansion, for the virtues that make sense,
Mm.
but realizing that I am human and I have needs and I'm not a hyper independent um, being that does not need anybody else. So from a lot of shadows and the pain of that
Mm.
to a lot of maybe a more righteous spiritual life. And then the pain of that also, of like neglecting my own needs, my own desires, my own preferences, neglecting my wife, neglecting pleasure, neglecting play because I'm on a mission. And like in this, I was trying to savor the
Mm.
world no matter what. And here I was trying to save the world no matter what. And it's like, and so where I'm at today is a result of a lot of pain that both of these create, because
Mm.
it's uh, I'm finding right now that my way or the way is understanding that we need to move in both, savor the moment
Mm.
and still act in a way that we're planting the seeds for the tomorrow we want to live into, but not living it too much here or not here. So
Mm.
that's been my journey. Yeah, pain, crossing lines in the extremes, and kind of finding the middle path.
Mm. Yeah, thank you. And when you say that there's still ways that you feel you're ready for expansion and in that humanity, right? Where,
Yeah.
what would you describe them, or how would you describe these todays? Like, what are
Mhm.
very kind of things that you on a daily level kind of are like, Nico, you will
Mhm.
speak to yourself maybe in juicy Colombian accent, which would
Uh,
be beautiful to hear, but you can say it in English. Yeah, what
uh,
are ways that you
yes.
know?
So yeah. So for example, I realized recently that every time that I've been without without a partner, my main focus has been usually work, and then I'm so busy with work that I'll order food delivery, or I will go out and eat in a restaurant. And it recently dawned on me that when it comes to other people, it's like my energy, my attention, I'm there, I'm devoted. Like I'll stretch myself beyond my capacity to be of service. But when it comes to being of service to myself in the most basic and essential of ways, which is cooking a meal with love, having the patience to nourish myself through something that I create, that there's been a degree of self-neglect there.
Mm.
Like that's a small way. Another one,
Mm.
um, where I feel there's room for expansion is pleasure and play,
Mm.
because it's so easy in a very hyper masculine way of seeing life, or in the way I was living, that was very like very heavy, not heavy, biased towards just masculine energy, which is focus and vision and planning and
Mm.
discipline and pushing forward towards a certain goal. That's kind of
Mm.
how I was operating. So in that space, I went very much into my head and the constructive side of the psyche
Mm.
and the logic, and trying to learn how to navigate and how to build.
Mm.
And I realized that in that framework, if the feminine is not included, if my heart, my emotions are not included, um, then everything becomes something that needs to prove its value, its utility, in usefulness. It's
Mm.
like if I'm going here and you are not contributing to me going here, then you are not needed. You are a burden, you're baggage,
Mm.
right? You're a necessary weight. And the you being hanging out with friends, having a picnic. How is having a picnic going to help me build the thing that I want to build to be of
Mm.
service? How is pleasure? How is slowing down? How is making my home more beautiful, right?
Yes.
It's like, what's the utility of beauty, of play? And these are things that we could justify. We could say, oh, yeah, they make you feel better. But these feminine qualities have largely been neglected by society today. And
Mm.
I think I kind of caught that wave and neglected a lot of that. Meaning, in my day-to-day life, there's room for acknowledging that no matter how big it is what I build, it could
Mm.
always be 100 times bigger. Therefore,
Mm.
it's a game that has no end.
Yeah.
Therefore, there's no such thing as, oh, when I get here, I'm gonna enjoy and relax, because the
Mm.
here, the it's gonna keep being pushed further away. So how about I give myself permission to be at the arrival place of, all right, like I get to build and to play and to connect with friends and to embrace pleasure and embrace little things. Like this morning, I went to a sauna and then went to get myself a shake, and I was chatting with the guy that owns the
Mm.
protein shake shop, and little things that when I'm here, it's like, no, from 5 a.m. until 10 p.m. I have to be working and doing something that is productive and tracking my day like it's
Mm.
like I'm a machine of production.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, I'm not a machine of production. I can be disciplined if needed, but I need to take care of my humanity, which starts with being a good mother to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yes.
like
Mm.
me cooking myself a nice meal, taking myself for walks,
Mm.
bringing myself to make new friends,
Mm.
that kind of gentle attitude.
Mm.
It's like, hey, like, go and play, give myself a massage, like that.
Mm.
That's where I'm at right now, and which is for me is kind of bringing back the feminine into
Totally.
masculine way of living.
Mm.
Understanding that
Yeah.
it's not, that being a man doesn't mean that I have to be this, just stoic macho man. That's
Yeah.
not. I think that's an incomplete masculinity, and one that will always lead to pain.
Yep.
And sometimes, coming from a very juvenile and disempowered way of moving through the world,
Mm.
this felt like the answer. Is like, here I felt powerless and a
Yeah.
victim. Here I'm powerful and everything's up to me, and
Mm.
I'm responsible for everything. It's like, all right, that's a big step from feeling like I'm at the mercy of the world. But
Yes.
it's not the full thing, because it's not that I'm not at the mercy of life and a victim.
Mm.
Also not the ultimate, like the capital C creator. No, ultimately I am at the mercy of life, of forces that I don't understand, of divine design that is beyond my comprehension.
Mm,
I am part of something that is much bigger than I could ever comprehend or
mm,
attempt to control. So
yes.
ultimately, I am, I am flowing with the wind,
Mm,
and within that, I can also carry myself with dignity, with honor, with virtue, and try to build what I can build without
mm,
losing myself in the arrogance of thinking that, like, oh, I'm a big man, I'm a strong, powerful man. No, like,
yes.
okay, I'll do my best, and the spirit of life, like she decides ultimately. So that's, to me, that's the integrated masculinity that I'm starting to explore.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, just couple of things that come up, as you were sharing, and one of them is like this worthiness piece, and I think
Mhm.
this, of course, it's such an expression of capitalism that we all have. I have a female body and I'm a woman, but I also have an expression of that kind of pushy, overachieving masculine element where indeed there's this feeling of, oh, I get my worthiness from this, yeah? I get my worthiness from building. I get from my worthiness from a social status. I get my worthiness from money. This is such a deep conditioning. I in my own life, yeah, I can feel that too. Can you do you recognize that piece within yourself also, and kind of the maybe because of course you have a very successful business, and I can I can yeah, yeah, see that, and it's like, oh, you have a lot of followers, so that in our society those are the ways also that people get recognition and get status in our society. Still, I'm feeling that that is the balance between the masculine and feminine, is that we're all waking up from that a little bit, right? And we all have our journey depending on, well, where we're at and how old we are, and the things we experience, of course. Yeah, is that something? Yeah, what does that kind of piece bring out in you?
Yeah, for sure. I think for a big part of my career, my self-worth was entangled with my work. So if which is a miserable way of working and living ultimately, because when I launched something and it went great,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm the big guy. And many times that I launched things and they flopped,
Mm.
there was this shame and desire to hide and feeling of not being good enough. And
Mm.
until I understood that I am not what I do. That's an extension of
Yeah.
who I am. It's a part of, it's something I create, but I am not what I do. What I do is
Mm.
what I do, and it's what I try to contribute to the world. And
Yes.
sometimes the world will like it, sometimes the world will not.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, there's definitely, as a man, it's also a little bit tricky because a lot of who we are and how we are perceived and valued by society, by women,
Mm-hmm.
is very connected to the perceived place we occupy in
Yeah.
a social hierarchy. Like, is this a competent man at the very least? Is he skilled? Is
Mm.
he wealthy? Or like,
Yeah.
there's some of that where I feel there's a primal urge. I, I don't think it's necessarily a social construct, but I think in a primal way,
Yeah.
uh, right? Evolution wants for women to pick the man with
Mm.
who kind of can prove that could take care of the offspring better,
Yeah.
and there's a part of that is nature moving through us.
Mm.
um, and it's a tough one because for example, for most of my marriage, I think I was so concerned with dropping the ball when it came to the part of provision, and sometimes
Mm.
feeling like, oh, like I wish I could give my partner a better lifestyle, or feeling that what I wanted to be able to offer as a provider was not where I was at, and my business was starting and different things. And I can see in retrospect that I neglected presence, quality time, passion, because I was sitting in my laptop trying to grow this thing, and that ultimately, um, yeah, I feel that only if we are meeting at a very physical level,
Mm,
that becomes a, a very big part of our relationship.
mhm,
But when we, but with a woman that is more connected to herself,
mhm,
more than provision, it is presence that she really requires. And for me, um, growth, business growth,
mm,
uh, like I constantly have to check myself. Like, is this am I performing? Am I trying to be seen,
mhm.
validated, reassured, proof to myself and to the world
Yes,
that I am worthy of being alive, that my life
yes,
has value? Is
yeah.
that am I trying to prove to myself that I deserve to be alive, which is
Mhm.
what it comes down to. I'm worthy, or am I present and eager to share something out of the joy of, hey, this worked for me. I want more people to get this. And
Yes.
versus am I is this an expression of my present joy, or
Mm,
is it a reaching towards, is it a performance and a reaching towards others to try and have people see me the way that I have not yet given myself permission to see myself? It's
yes.
like, hopefully, if you look at me like a good person, maybe one day I'll believe it myself. So uh, I've sourced both, and I'd say that it's it's something that can be very seductive for the mind.
Mhm.
Fame, wealth, um, and I think that as like for me, as long as I keep myself in check and I notice, okay, where is this coming from? Why do
Mhm.
I want to launch this thing? Why do I want to do that?
Mm,
When I realize, oh, actually, I want to impress these people, or I want to
yeah.
be seen as this kind of person, then it's like, okay, that's not that isn't it. That's
Mm,
that's then in that moment what I need more than, I don't know, more followers or another program or launching something else.
mm,
What I need is like spaciousness, being
yeah.
with myself, and understanding that even if I'm not doing anything, even when I'm just
Yeah.
sitting by myself in my
Yeah.
living room,
Yes.
being of no use to anybody,
Yes.
uh, I am worth it. Even when I'm
Yeah.
sitting with an ice cream watching a movie, which is the opposite of being productive,
Yes.
and I love myself in this moment. And
Mm,
when I go there, it's like yeah, it's all good. It's like, okay, then from that place, next day I can go and serve because out of joy, but not out of this anxiety of, tell me I'm good enough, tell me I'm worthy.
mhm. Yes. Yeah. What are ways for you that you have felt? Because this is we can speak about this. It's such a big piece, a worthiness piece. It's such a existential human, I mean, condition of all of us also collectively not feeling that. Yeah, it's such a deep, deep wound of, okay, do we have the right to exist as humans? And I'm curious, like from an embodied space, which is what, I find, yeah, the most, I mean, it's the only real thing, I think, because we can speak about it and that's just the mental plane, right? Can you share a bit about, yeah, moments where you, or how you feel that inner worthiness, and that being so filled is how I experience, yeah, in meditations, but also through dancing and all of these ways of just feeling this joy of life that is moving through me. And yeah, I'm curious how you experience that. And yeah.
Hmm. The most the most common doorway to access that for me is nature, like going for a walk, putting some music, being in nature, and
Yes.
paying.
Mm, lost Nico. I lost Nico. Is Nico coming back again?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So
back, yes.
yes. Yes, I was sharing that for me the way to access that like inner worthiness, fulfillment, that feeling of I'm okay as I am. I don't need to prove, justify my existence by being useful, productive. Is nature, going for a walk, sitting with things that perhaps are not quote unquote useful. Like a sunset is not useful, for
Yeah.
example. Um, in many ways, a baby or a child is not useful. It actually requires just a lot of attention. An
Energy.
elder, someone that is very old,
Mm.
they're not useful. So for
Mm.
me, like being with kids,
Mm.
um, being with let's say with my grandmother,
Ah.
being with nature, like a tree is not useful. I mean, you
Mm.
could say like a table and whatnot, but if you're walking through a forest, when I'm walking through a park, I can't do anything with the tree.
Mm.
I can just be with it.
Yes.
So for me, that allows me when I spend time in these places and I just slow down enough to look at the sky, to look at the tree, to look at the grass. I realize that nothing in existence is trying to justify its life. It's
Yes.
living. It's just being and that's enough. It all carries nothing is stagnant. The
Mm.
tree is not holding its breath. The sky is not rigid. Everything is moving, but
Mm.
it's not moving to try and be seen a certain way or to try and feel a certain way. So for me that allows me to reconnect to that, to feel that
Mm.
whatever happens, like I am an extension of this that I'm seeing, of this sunset. I'm an extension
Yes.
of the life that flows through all of this. And and the blade of grass is not doesn't have to justify its existence. It's just what it is. And somehow being that space, it's easier for me to give myself permission to feel that
Mm.
being alive is enough.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Just being alive and being able to appreciate being alive. That is
Mm.
the greatest
Mm.
fulfillment I could ever reach for. Just
Mm.
this
Yes.
feels good, and I don't have to, and doesn't feel good for any other reason than because it feels good and being
Yes.
okay with that.
Mm. Yeah, and that brings me to maybe one of the reasons why chose sexuality as my specialty, because it's such a the moment where we allow ourselves pleasure in the different ways, and then of course it can be more sensual pleasure, more erotic, or more explicitly sexual. It's like there's no, it's just for the purpose of that, right? Of
Mhm.
course, there's shadow sides, a lot of shadow sides in the way that we behave in our sexuality, which are very juicy topics also I want to maybe address a little bit. But this kind of being just in pleasure and having an orgasm, I mean, that's the thing. It's when we, yeah, la petite mort, it's when we lose our sense of self and where we go in a state of surrender and we are just being in that experience of pleasure. And yeah, that brings me, yeah, to a question which we were also a little bit talking about when we met in Turkey and so on. It's like the sexual energy and male sexuality. Because I work a lot with couples too, starting to work with men, which is very beautiful and powerful. And of course, I see the journey in the shadows of the sexuality piece in both women so much. Yeah, we both have our shadows. Like I know that there's an idea out there of like, oh, men are late doing the work, but I don't think I agree with that. I think there's really from both sides a lot of work to do. And I mean, yeah, I'm touching upon different topics here. I know, which is a little bit my style, but let's focus first on the sexual energy piece and how do you feel like a man can come. And of course, you can share your personal experience. I know you have obviously in your work you work with that too. Yeah, like the maturity in the male sexuality, and some of the shadow pieces that men have towards women of entitlement, of gratification, of etc etc. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, the sexual energy piece, um in between, yeah, in the dynamics between men and women,
Mhm.
what comes up dear Nico.
Uh,
Mm.
so in my journey growing up, my sexuality began as a means of taking approval, taking validation,
Mm.
um, kind of informed by pornography, and it's like, oh, that's what sex should look like. So
Yeah.
then I'm out to get myself that kind of experience to use another human being for my pleasure. So I think that's where most men are, where even the way that sometimes we look at women, there's a taking element of it. An attractive woman walks by, and it's not there's not only an appreciation of, wow, that's a beautiful, attractive woman, but sometimes there's this energetically this pulling of her. Um, then there is eventually some men decide, oh, actually that doesn't feel good. That's not fulfilling, that's not satisfying. That leads to a lot of drama, pain, chaos.
Mm.
So then there is the sexual energy in a giving manner.
Mm.
And this is where suddenly my partner's pleasure becomes my priority. And then I'm there to try and please her, to try and last as long as possible, to try and explore every part of her body, and I'm there to be of service, right?
Mm.
Um, and I think for most women, this is an improvement. Wow, I'm with a man that prioritizes my pleasure, my
Mm.
sensuality, and wants to touch me and whatnot. But I still feel that is again is incomplete,
Mm.
because there's an element, there's he's not receiving, and mature sexuality, as I understand it, and I think there's a lot of room for me to grow in this regard, is it must be a shared experience. It's where I'm not there just to please, I'm not there just to take,
Mm.
but I'm there to dance
Mm.
with the energy of another person. And the difficult thing that I found in my journey was, like, in my 20s, most of the times that I had sex, I was drunk or high or on some drugs. I was not fully sober.
Mm. Mm.
Number one. Number two, it was from a place of lust,
Mm.
main, rarely like love making. And third, I was very numb, so I was always trying to push the edges with things like BDSM or open relationships, threesomes, and kind of try to use kink as a way to feel more, because
Mm.
the being with a woman did not feel satisfying enough at one point.
Mm. Mm.
And then after that, when I got married, I stopped that, and it was a long and difficult process, to realizing at the beginning that it was hard for me to be aroused by just one woman.
Mm.
And I was sober, and a woman that
Mhm.
a woman that I
Mhm.
didn't to go and like humiliate and treat poorly and slap around, and these things that were coming from a place of, to some degree, unprocessed wounds with my mother. I
Mhm.
didn't realize that for a lot of men that are really addicted to very violent pornography and
Mhm.
violent uh, being sexual with their partner, I have yet to meet a man that has that kind of kink,
Mhm.
that did not feel powerless with his mother. So,
Mhm.
and a man that has fully forgiven and learned to like love and reconcile what happened with his mom, that
Mhm.
sustains those things. So I think sometimes uh, what comes up sexually
Mhm.
is the way in which we get back at our mother for men.
Yes.
Not always. I think there can be conscious ways of exploring many different things, and
Yes.
conscious and consensual. But a lot of times is our shadows trying to find
Mhm.
some balance of power that we feel we lost when we were growing up.
Mhm.
So for me, it was very hard to be intimate for some time, because I was used to having multiple women, and if there were no multiple women, I was thinking about other women when I was with my previous partners.
Mhm.
Suddenly, I realized I don't want to think about anybody else. I want to be present with this woman.
Mhm.
I'm not drinking. I'm not taking drugs anymore. I also don't feel like the part of me that felt this rage that I wanted to take out, and that was like anger laced with desire or with lust or with turn on.
Mm,
Suddenly that rage was gone, and it's like, okay, I also don't know how to make love, how to have sex in
mm,
a way that elevates both of us, not in a
mhm,
way where we're just kind of playing out our shadows and our wounds.
mm,
So for me, sexuality today is has become more of a it is a medicine, it's a ceremony, and
mm,
one where when I go into it, the degree to which it is enjoyable for both depends on the degree to which we are present to each other.
mhm.
And that presence means that maybe there's shame that moves through me,
Yeah,
and I need to let it be. Maybe it is grief that moves through her.
yeah.
Maybe sometimes my partner, maybe she feels her rage and it's being okay with her moving through that. Sometimes
Mhm,
she's felt deep grief and there's tears that want to come out, and being able to be with that and dance with the energy as
mm,
opposed to trying to have the energy fit the mold of what I saw
yeah,
online it should be.
yeah,
So it's been redefined, like coming to place of union where the least I'd say the least important part is the penetration and the orgasm. Those are
mm,
beautiful, sensory, sensual, pleasurable parts of it. But more than that is we it's coming into a place of okay, like we're gonna be fully present with each other
yes,
into our bodies and
yes.
allow for whatever wants to move through us. And that's
Mhm.
really scary because it's easier to just go like this
Yeah.
and about somebody else and finish, and then I make you finish, and we look at each other and we say, okay, that was fun.
Mhm.
But so much is lost, so much potential is lost in the process.
Yes.
Uh,
Intimacy, yeah?
yeah, yeah, and it's scary. It's scary for me. I carried so much shame around sexuality
Mm,
from growing up Catholic, from being born and raised in Colombia, from so many things.
mm,
So also it's like it's very vulnerable to feel pleasure. It's
mm.
very vulnerable. Um,
Why?
because it means I have to receive,
Mhm.
because it means that I have to drop the part of me that doesn't feel good enough to feel good. The
Yeah.
part of me that feels that it should earn the satisfaction or that fulfillment or that sense of should be
Mm,
earned somewhere else. Suddenly,
mm,
when it comes, and I don't have to earn it, but I could receive it,
mm.
then I need to drop the stories that I'm unworthy of it, or that I don't deserve it, or
Yes.
that or that I have to transact with the universe
Yes.
to feel good in this moment. Um, I need to let the other person touch me,
Yeah.
like physically, but also emotionally, energetically,
Mm.
for pleasure to move through my body.
Yes.
And that's like it's like if someone is within enough, if someone is close enough to you to create pleasure in you,
Mm,
they're
mm,
close enough to create pain as well,
mhm. Yeah, yeah.
right? It's like if someone is touching
Same,
you and if
same. Ultimately.
yeah,
Yeah.
if it's touching you in very vulnerable, intimate parts of your body,
Mm,
they
mm,
have that much access.
mm.
They could like they're seeing you. They could. It requires deep trust,
Yeah.
trusting that they won't cross a line, they won't abuse, they won't misuse the power that they were given
Yes.
and hurt. So again, also like for me, part of my journey right now has been
Mm,
learning that reclaiming the feminine, integrating the feminine
mm.
into conscious masculinity means
Yes.
learning to receive pleasure, learning to surrender, learning to trust that
Mm.
I'm safe, that most people's capacity for pain is much bigger than
Yep.
the capacity
Yes.
for pleasure.
Yes.
I have a huge capacity to tolerate pain and to carry heavy weights and burdens. And I've noticed that my capacity to feel pleasure move through my body is much smaller. So there lies my work.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, and thank you. Yeah. I really feel yeah, just the slowness of our conversation and just yeah, the things you're speaking on, I can feel them, open my heart, and yeah, it's just beautiful to be
Mhm.
here. Yeah, so I just want to celebrate that for a moment. You.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think this has always also been my experience. Yeah, this weird conditioning of us humans is to be way more, yeah, even capable of staying in the pain and attached to the pain somehow, and this undeservingness of being in pleasure. And I do I speak on this in a way also of, especially on the emotional part of, and I think actually ayahuasca really showed me that. I only did one ayahuasca journey. Of course, I know that this is a big part of your yeah, your own journey and what you offer and etc. But there was a moment in my ayahuasca journey, and I afterwards had it also in life, where I could feel pain and pleasure at a very high level at the same time. And I was like,
Mm.
what the fuck? Right? Even this kind of, and this is a very tantric perspective, which is my background also, like when you let go even of judgments of what is pain and what is good and what is bad, and you just can just actually allow just life and the sensations to move through your body. There's just like moving through you and sensations moving through you. And so
Mhm.
I'm saying different things here, of course, but this the your I mean, if you tell me, for example, oh, I have this great capacity to be with pain, then I know I what I feel is also like, wow, the potential for your pleasure will be equally as big. So that's good news, I would say.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah.
coming. Yeah, and yeah,
Uh,
I appreciate I appreciate you pointing that out. And I think that's a lot of I also wrote a post on this. It's like, can we only evolve as humans through suffering? Of course, Buddha speaks about that. It's a big one, right? And I'm also really at this space where I want to just as a experiment see how we can evolve through joy and pleasure, and what
mhm.
is our evolutionary kind of gateway there. Yeah, so
Mhm.
that's and especially since when the labeling of just any experience in life of this is good, bad, and this is a challenge, this is a struggle, when you let go of that,
Mhm.
there's just yeah, things to open up to, I would say. Yeah, there's more to open up to. Yeah. Yeah. Going to check the time for a moment. Yeah. Okay. Still a bit more? Yeah. Still good? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Let's maybe yeah go a little bit to more relationship piece. And of course, I know you're married and you have experience, yeah, of committed relationships, and you also have that other experience of not being there at all. And so, yeah, I'm just curious, like, what are things that you have learned about being in a committed relationship that really are so valuable, like today, right? Things that you continue to learn, and maybe you have learned 5 minutes ago, or yeah, maybe before our conversation, let's say,
Mhm.
about relationship, because it's such a, I mean, I feel like in relationship, there's a certain things that we only learn while being in relationship, right? So
Yeah.
I'm curious, yeah, what those are for you right now, like things
Mhm.
that,
Yeah. One of the things that most people get wrong about being in a relationship is that somehow we expect for life to remain the same, and we expect for us to remain the same as we enter a space of union, and that's not going to happen. It's like, for example, if I'm not a father and suddenly I become a father, but I don't close the chapter of being a man without kids,
mm,
then there's going to be a part of me that has a responsibility of being a father,
mm,
um, but still wants me to go out and get drunk and travel and have no responsibilities.
mm,
And it's not so much that this will be painful for the woman or the child, but it will be painful for the father, because it's like you were popular in high school and now you're in a workplace where you're starting at you're at the bottom of the food chain.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't understand that you're playing a different game, you're going to suffer a lot.
Mm.
You were playing checkers and now it's chess and you can't move the way you used to, you're going to get frustrated. So the first thing that I learned is learning to recognize what it is the game I'm choosing to play,
Mm.
and understanding that if I play this game by its own rules, which are very different from other,
Mm.
uh, I can have a great time. But again, every game has its rules. So if I am playing soccer and I grab the ball with my hands and I run, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm
Mm.
gonna get kicked out. I'm not gonna be able to play that game well. But if I follow the structure, if I follow the rules, I can have a great time. Now, if I want to play basketball, then maybe I just choose that. So where I'm going with this is that when it comes to relationships, I also struggled a lot at the beginning of my marriage because I wanted to be committed while still being single me,
Mm.
acting in the ways that acting, thinking in the ways that single me would. And it doesn't work like that. It's like, okay, like commitment means that now I choose to include another person's preference, preferences, needs, desires. Um, I become responsible for that person as well.
Mm.
I think about them every time before I make a decision.
Mm.
Now it's not only me, it's us.
Yeah.
Um, and most couples suffer. I definitely suffer a lot when I kept thinking just of me, 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 me. It's like me and you. It's like, no, if it's us, we need to honor this and respect it. Not lose our individuality, still take good care of ourselves, but understanding that we're playing a game where we're both involved.
Yeah.
So this will be one thing, just all right, like if let's say for men that are single and they want to be single, like okay, don't tell yourself you want to be married if you want to swipe on Tinder like a part-time job and you go on 20 dates a month. Like nothing wrong with that if that's what you're choosing. And
Mm.
actually, I think every person grows out of that phase.
Mm.
Um, but kind of whatever you are, be there fully. Live that
Mm.
experience fully so that you don't have to carry it in the future. There's a lot of men that get married and they're like, "Oh, I wish I had explored my single years more." It's like we don't if I don't live out my phases fully, I'm bound to reminisce of them and pull that into places where they don't belong. If I don't live out my juvenile teenage years, I'm gonna
Mm.
be a perpetual teenager. I'm gonna
Mm.
end up coming meeting women and expecting for them to play mommy, to
Mm.
be the mother figure. I'm gonna take from them. I'm gonna be
Mm.
very self-serving. It's like no, let's wrap up these phases.
Mm.
That will be part of that. The second thing that is um, super essential is like being in a relationship as a man. Our role is to be gardeners. In a garden, you never say, "Okay, I took care of the garden. I planted everything nice. I am
Mm.
done. I've got a beautiful garden."
Mm.
Doesn't work like that. It's the feminine is not a fixed thing. It's not like a painting that you finish and it's done and it's in the wall and it just looks beautiful forever. I mean, if you want flowers to look beautiful forever, it has to be plastic. It has to be a fake one.
Yes.
Women are not like that. A real woman is not like that. A real woman is very receptive. She's like nature. If you nourish her, she will bloom and sprout. And if you neglect her, the weeds will come, the mold, the
Yeah.
fungi, the flowers will wilt, it will stink.
Mm.
And then as men, we must understand that if we get into a relationship, we are gardeners, and you never take off a garden once and for all. It's a constant
Mm.
thing that requires constant attention. And you can start like a great gardener, fall asleep at the wheel, and then next thing you wake up and you realize that all the flowers have dried out.
Mm.
And many men quit at this point, like, oh, that's not the flower that I wanted. This is not the garden that I wanted. I can do better. And they look at another girl that is just starting to bloom, and they think that's more what I want. That's more the energy that I want.
Yeah.
And then they move there, and again, they neglect the lack of care, the lack of nourishment, the lack of protection, provision, presence,
Mm.
and that flower starts to wilt as well until we realize, and this has been a very painful lesson for me, that very often we are responsible for the garden that we cultivate. We
Mm.
are responsible for how much we allow for our partners to bloom, or how much they start to wilt in under our care or lack of,
Mm.
and that is not a fixed thing, and that's a good thing, because as men, it keeps us on our toes, it keeps us paying attention, it fortifies me to know that I have something to care for.
Yeah.
But if that care burdens me, if responsibility burdens me, maybe I'm not ready to cultivate a garden yet. Maybe I still need to do some maturing, some growing up before I can say, you know what, I am ready to take care of these flowers, of this
Yeah.
flower, and to do the work necessary,
Yeah.
not because I have to, not because it's my obligation, um, but because it's my choice. Because I want
Mm.
beauty in my life, and beauty asks for a sacrifice, for an
Mm.
offer. That offering is my effort, it's my attention, it's my life poured into that.
Mm.
So unless a man is willing to pour his life, and his life is time, is resources, is energy, is affection, is provision,
Yeah. Yeah.
unless a man is ready to pour all of himself into a relationship, uh, it, it won't work. There's not going to be enough sustenance for
Mm.
the, if she's really feminine, to
Mm.
thrive. Uh,
Yeah.
and I have yet to meet the first flower that says, "Hey, like, don't worry, I
Yeah.
water myself." At that
Mm.
point, she does not need the gardener, and this is
Mm.
what happens to a lot of relationships. Like, she's like, all right, I have to water myself and take
Mm.
out my own weeds. What do I need you for?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And on the other hand, I also see that women sometimes are not appreciating of the ways that their man is trying to show up, right? So
Yeah,
that's, I mean, yeah.
that's yeah, and that's the other side of that. Yeah, on the other
Mm-hmm.
side, the gardener is trying, and it's the first time he's gardening that flower, so he doesn't know. A lot
Yeah.
of times we expect for our partners to already know how to
Yeah.
take perfect care of our heart. We don't know how
Yes.
to take perfect care of our own heart,
Yes.
but somehow we expect for somebody else
Yeah.
to have the
Yes.
manual and the recipe.
Yes.
And when they try, it's like a gardener will only try for so long,
Mm.
and a flower just refuses to bloom, to give a glimpse that of appreciation that what you're doing is working. That sure,
Mm.
we could all be doing much better for each other, but
Mm.
like, if I pour, I have a plant here that I moved her, I put it under the sun, doesn't work. I put it far away. I put water, too little water. I changed the pot, whatever. Eventually, it's just looking. Eventually, I realize nothing I do is enough.
Mm.
You know what? Maybe, and I did this with a couple of plants. I put
Yeah.
them on Facebook, told my and asked my neighbors, I give up. I can't. These are not thriving with me.
Mm.
Maybe they need more experienced hands. Maybe it's
Mm.
just not. I'm not good with these plants. But it was. I felt defeated.
Yes.
Uh, I felt like I didn't have what it took to take care of them. Was it my fault? Was it the plant's fault? Maybe we were just not very aligned. But yeah,
Mm.
but it's super essential that the as much as it is a man's responsibility to be a good gardener of his woman and the
Mm.
feminine, the fastest way for a man to fall in love with gardening is to see the flowers blooming and
Yeah.
radiant.
Yeah.
Like nowhere in the history of humanity a man
Right.
has left a woman he consistently succeeded at making happy.
Mm.
And this is hard for many women to hear very
Mm.
often, and
Mm.
for men as well. But
Yes.
it's uh, of course things are nuanced, but men rarely live a relationship where they I feel they're winning.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
so of course it's ultimately a joint effort,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
Like a dance. It's not just if I'm a good leader, then that's it. I'm gonna make you shine. It's like sure,
Mm.
but we have to collaborate. We have to
Mm.
co-create. We
Yes.
have to do. It's not just all on me.
Mm.
It's not all on you. But if we both pay attention and do our best and understand that we're gonna step on each other's toes, and that sometimes we're gonna miss the beat, and sometimes it's
Yes.
gonna feel awkward and clumsy, And it's
Mm.
okay because it's our first time dancing together. Then if we can sit through that discomfort,
Mm.
eventually we will soften, we will get to know each other, and eventually we'll find our pace, we'll find our rhythm, and we will be able to dance with grace.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, and I love this idea of teaching each other how to love, teaching each other how to love each other well, and not making those assumptions and expecting that other person to notice. And that comes with a certain responsibility, of course, of well, on the level of communication and then the receptivity. And indeed, as you say, instead of being in a relationship to get something, which is well, a lot of people do, which is understandable because of the woundings and the conditioning and the playing out of certain, yeah, trauma, developmental trauma or so. But indeed, as you said, the first thing is like this focus on the us and the other. And wow, yeah, I love the plants and the gardening metaphors. Yeah, they really speak on that. I yeah, maybe a last question, which is well, symbolically perfect, in different ways, is like, okay, when do you feel, I mean, yeah, of course we hope to stay together, and we hope, yeah, that's why we enter a relationship and a marriage, or just a committed relationship, to stay together. I think we all have experiences in our life where we realize, okay, this is the chapter with this person has been written, and there's such a grace in understanding when that's the case and letting each other go. And so I'm curious, like, what is your understanding, um, for people out there who might also be on the edge? And by the way, I don't think that because people go towards that edge of annihilation in that relationship, that's a bad thing. I think that can be a very good thing for a relationship, to acknowledge, like, okay, we choose each other, and we are sometimes on the edge, and that makes things more sharp, and
Mhm.
but so why, yeah, what are reasons why you feel that, yeah, people might come to the conclusion of, okay, it's best to separate, and what are ways that people then, maybe as a follow-up question or so, that can be done in ways that are, yeah, harmonious or respectful and honoring of everything that has been.
Yeah.
Mm.
The way that I see it is the moment that growth is off the table for at least one partner, then I think that's enough to destroy a relationship. Like if we're going on an adventure up a mountain and suddenly you decide to stop for whatever reason, your knees hurt, your back hurts because your mom and your dad and whatever, doesn't matter. It's justifiable. But if you refuse to like take care of your back so that you can keep walking, if you want me to carry you, maybe out of love, I'll carry you for a little bit, but eventually I'll look at you and maybe feel resentful and say, hey, I've been carrying you for a while. I think you should do something about your back. I think you should work this through this. And maybe I'm willing to be here. I'm willing to wait for you while you get this sorted out.
Mm.
But if there's no effort from the other side, if there's no growth, commitment to growth,
Mm.
then one have to realize that if I want to keep walking where I want to walk, if I want to keep loving this person, I may have to do that from a distance. I feel that love is what frees us. And for me, the ending comes when I am certain that at a distance, I will love that person much better and much more
Mm.
than what will happen if we stay together.
Mm.
I mean, very often things start to deteriorate because
Yeah.
there's resentment, there is contempt, there's apathy. We're taking each other for granted. We're degrading slowly into painful ways of relating.
Mm.
And may we have the same arguments, no matter how much we communicate, we cross each other's boundaries and
Mm.
things start to get ugly. At one point, I have to look at my partner and say, hey, if this continues, it will be very hard for me to remain, to keep loving you
Mm.
and be together. And I may have to choose to love you from a distance so that I don't, so that the image that I have of you and the love that I have for you doesn't deteriorate out of
Mm.
this thing being unworkable. So, in a simple way, I think relationships end when we come into conflicts where at least one of the partners is unwilling to do their work.
Mm.
Number one. Number two, relationships end when one of the partners thinks that it's the other's fault, whatever is going on.
Ooh.
This one is hard because
Yep.
let's say you bring betrayal, you bring cheating, where there's a very clear dynamic of, oh, this was the victim and this was the bully, it was
Mm.
the villain,
Mm.
the cheater and the cheated on, the innocent one and the one that broke the agreements. And usually everybody sides with, what? I can't believe she did that. What? I can't believe he did that. They don't respect you. Then it's so easy to jump into the wagon
Mm.
of that story of victimhood. And I've been the cheater, I've been cheated on as well so many times in my past. And what I realized was every single time, and it was very hard to accept, especially when I was cheated on in my 20s in ways
Mm.
that were very painful with people that were close to me. It was very hard for me to realize that I had played a role in that as well, that all of it had been co-created. And sometimes the role that I played was just the partner that I chose and the red flags that I ignored.
Mm.
But I'm still responsible for the choices I made. It's like, all right, if I adopted a dog from the shelter that was furious and angry and biting everything, and one day I wake up and by mistake I step on it and then it bites me, it's like, am I going to be upset at the dog? It's like, I chose this one. I could have
Mm.
chosen a different one. I need to take responsibility. Is it good? Is it nice? No, it's just what it is. It's just the
Mm.
choice that I made.
Yes.
But very often the choice goes way further than that.
Mm.
What I mean by this is most of the times that my partners were unfaithful, I could trace it. I was taking them for granted. I was
Mm.
not treating them like women. I was not making them feel like women. I was not being a man in that relationship. I
Mm.
had neglected them. They were not feeling beautiful or desired with me. Then suddenly a
Mm.
guy came and filled in my shoes. They started suddenly they felt beautiful, cared for, provided, and then
Mm.
also there was no space for communication. I would get angry if they mentioned certain things because I
Mm.
felt ashamed or insecure. So usually those
Mm.
two things go hand in hand,
Yep.
which if there's no space for my partners to be fully honest about what's coming up in their minds, in their hearts, their
Mm.
desires, um, very often if they're not mature enough to walk away, they may just cross a line unconsciously because the energy has to move anyways.
Mm.
So relationships end
Mm.
when I think, but above all, we start hiding parts
Mm.
of ourselves. We may hide them because we're afraid, but also part of why we hide sometimes is because we don't trust that our truth will be safe in our partner's hands. And very often we have evidence and we have reasons because when we've said, hey, this hurts, they took it personal, they defended themselves,
Yeah.
they deflected it, they
Yeah.
dismissed it. That happens enough times where suddenly we start to feel like strangers in a
Mm.
relationship.
Mm.
And energetically, we're already two different people. We're not,
Mm.
there's no us anymore. So the energy will eventually just move in separate ways.
Mm.
So ultimately, that for me is the like the energy will start to pull us towards
Mm.
maybe in our actions we want to stay together, we're trying to force it together,
Mm.
but the energy doesn't lie. The energy there's
Yeah.
if we're behaving like we are not there for each other, if we're behaving like it's your fault or like one of us is to blame or like it's just my responsibility,
Mm.
suddenly there's no us, there's no
Mm.
co-creation. Enough of that and something's going to happen where we will split ways. So I'd say that like to summarize it, a relationship ends when at least one partner is refusing to grow, to do the work. It can't continue. It will be very painful
Mm.
if that happens. A relationship ends when there's someone who is right and someone who is wrong. Instead
Mm.
of basically we make each other the enemy instead of
Yeah.
being a team that wants to sort through a situation where we both take full responsibility. Even
Mm,
if you cheated on me, fuck, that sucks. But if I ask myself the question, how did I put my partner on a silver platter to this man or to this woman? If
mm,
I ask myself that question and I'm willing to hear an answer, I'll find a lot of answers that could help me avoid that in the future. If not with this person, maybe with my next partner. But
yes.
basically, relationship ends when someone is unwilling to take responsibility, no
Mm,
matter what.
mm,
And then yeah, and then finally when it becomes when in our energies we are it's just me and it's you and there's no us. So the relationship is a third entity that gets created and
yes.
that is fed through our energy. And
Yes.
if we start to starve it by looking away, by not trusting each other with our heart, by setting our attention, our energies, our life in another direction instead
Mm,
of what we want to build together, then it's going to break apart because then there's no shared purpose. Then we're just roommates or we're just very good friends
yeah.
or just two people that knew each other, tried to create something and then pulled away from each other.
Mm,
So yeah.
mm, yeah. Thank you. I yeah, I love how yeah, you're just talking on the most tender and more subtle things too, because oftentimes people think it's about whatever future visions that are not colliding necessarily, but these are yeah, these are really the more subtle and emotional ways that people kind of drift apart. Um, I realized I was just realizing, oh, is this? I want to end on a positive note. So how can we do that?
So we could look at, all right, if that's what ends a relationship,
Mm,
what's the recipe for keeping a
mhm,
relationship thriving, or at least
mm,
doing our part so that it could thrive? Because
yeah.
there's no guarantee. People enter a relationship, we want reassurance. We want to know that we're gonna win the game before we play it. It's like sell me the winning lottery ticket before I play the lottery. That's not how it
Yes,
works.
yes.
So we could do our best, and the relationship could still not work because it's
Mm,
beyond us. There's at least one more person involved.
yes.
So what can we do to at least do our part so that our relationship stands the best chances to
Mm,
thrive? I'd say first to always see every problem like it's us against the problem.
mm-hmm.
It's
Right.
not the other person is the problem. The moment that you're not giving me enough sex, the moment that you are not taking care of me, the moment that you are not, the moment that it's you against me,
Yep.
it's going sideways.
Yes.
If it's you and I, hey, how can we communicate better? Hey, how
Mm,
can we nurture our sex life?
mm,
Hey, can how could we create a space in a relationship where we can feel more playful, more safe, whatever it is, like
mm,
us versus the problem. That's in that way, then we strengthen. Then every challenge becomes a challenge that grows the team, that grows our
mm.
connection,
Yes.
instead of something that deteriorates because it's constantly you making me feel bad. You are
Yeah.
the challenge. No, you're not the challenge. Our behaviors can be, but if we can extrapolate them and look at them as something that we work on
Mm,
as a couple, then things can thrive. I would say
yeah.
that's one thing.
Mm,
Second is taking full responsibility for the seeds that we plant.
mm, mm,
And the seeds can be words that we say because we can never take them back.
mm,
The seeds can be also how we relate to one another.
mm,
Like when a man provides for his partner and she looks at him and she's like entitled to it, there's no appreciation. It may happen once, but the dent that that creates has
mm,
rippled, which in the future, his generosity will be stained or will be tainted with fear because he because something painful happened. A seed was planted that carries bitter fruits and that sometimes is never acknowledged.
mm.
Again, if he ignores her, she's in pain, she's feeling emotions, and he dismisses her.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's a seed that is planted where it's like, oh, there's a part of me that is not welcome. I
Yeah.
have to perform, I have to be the perfect woman, otherwise I'm not going to be loved.
Mm,
So eventually, like most relationships die from 1,000 paper cuts. So the way that we
Yes.
avoid those is to be impeccable, to pay a lot of attention, to
Mm.
recognize what seeds are we planting. And we won't be perfect, acknowledging we will make mistakes. But
Yeah.
if we can repair them right away, if I notice, oh, I spoke to her in an ugly way, oh, I disconnected from her, oh, I took him for granted, or I
Mm.
was mean about this, I didn't appreciate his
Mm.
efforts. The moment that we recognize those things, we can come back and say, hey, like, I'm sorry, I was feeling afraid. I'm sorry, this touched a deep wound. I want to
Mm.
remind you that I'm with you, that I appreciate
Yes.
you, that I love you, that I see
Mm.
you.
Yes.
Then we can make sure that our relationship um, becomes stronger, that we don't let fester in the shadows a lot of seeds that one day we're going to wake up and ask each other, how did we get here? How did it get so ugly?
Yeah.
Um, And finally, I
Mm.
would say the best way in which we can ensure that a relationship works is by having a very profound, loving relationship with ourselves.
Mm.
Because, because the way in which I felt to be present with my partner
Mm.
is always a reflection of the parts of me that I have a hard time being present to.
Mm. Mm.
The ways in which I'm impatient with her or with
Mm.
him
Mm.
reflect the way in which I treat myself with impatience, with self-judgments.
Mm.
Um, the shame that I carry is the shame that I project. I don't
Mm.
feel good enough. Therefore, I want my partner to be perfect because I want to be seen with a perfect partner so that maybe people will think, oh, he's a great guy. He's got a perfect wife, a perfect partner. And it's all out of insecurity.
Yes.
Or hey, I don't trust that he will choose me. I don't trust that he could be around other women and not cross a line.
Mm.
So therefore, because I don't trust that I'm a
Yeah.
woman worthy of commitment, worthy of love, because that I don't trust that if he had a choice, he would choose me
Mm.
because because I wouldn't choose myself.
Yes. Yes.
I don't
Yes.
think well of myself.
Yeah.
Therefore, I get on his case and I check his phone and I
Mm.
give him a hard time every time that he's with other women. And then eventually I've planted seeds of desire in his head for long
Yes.
enough about other women. And the day is gonna come when he's out and a woman comes and he doesn't know what's
Mm.
going on. It's like, it was co-created.
Mm.
There's just so much we can plant these seeds before they bear bitter fruits.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Self-fulfilling prophecy, actually, almost. Yeah.
exactly, yes.
Mm.
And this happens a lot. So, and again, the the antidote to those is recognizing that and doing whatever it takes
Mm.
to love ourselves fully. And
Yes.
that and loving ourselves fully means like I need to have good friends, I need to have good mentors, teachers, elders. I
Yes.
need to have time for myself. I need to make sure that I take good care of this so that the burden I place on my partner is minimal.
Mm.
Sure, they'll be my best friend and we'll survive difficult things together. But ideally, we sustain our relationship as a sanctuary where when life is hard for both of us, we can come back and at least we've got each other and this beautiful
Yes.
place that we have curated where
Yes.
there can be play, there can be pleasure, there can
Mm.
be presence, where all of
Mm.
us is welcomed.
Yes.
But there's not this heavy expectation that you have to be everything for me.
Yes.
You have to be my source of reassurance, my source of security, my source
Mm.
of
Mm.
provision, my source of worth.
Mm.
Um, I appreciate when you make me feel more beautiful, more desired,
Mm.
when you validate me. Beautiful, great. But if I rely on it, if I need you to do that for me, it's going to lead to an ugly place always.
Mm.
So ensuring that I love you,
Mm.
that I really want to be with you, but that it would be very painful if you left, but
Mm.
not this idea of I need you. I
Mm-hmm.
think this because
Yes.
this I need you sometimes is so laced with expectations, with
Yes.
demand.
Yeah.
It's like because I need you, you must be who I need you to be
Yeah.
because it's a strong need. So ensuring that a relationship thrives, um, to ensure that our relationship thrives,
Mm.
we must be able to look at each other and say, like, I want you. I really want you to be here.
Mm.
And if
Yeah.
you can't be with me in the way that I want you to be here,
Mm.
okay. Uh, I,
Yes. I've got
Like,
myself.
yes, I've got myself,
Mm,
and if it's painful, I will walk away because I know I've
mm,
got myself.
yes.
I will stick around because no, you need to change because you need to feel in this hole that I have not
Mm, mm,
been willing to take care of myself.
mhm, mhm. Thank you. Thank you, Nico. This was such a beautiful way to end. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your wisdom. I appreciate your metaphors. I don't know if you are used to those or you just make them up on the spot. It doesn't matter. I love it also when you laugh. Thank you for being here
Thank you.
today. Yeah, people watching, of course, check. I mean, I will put all your links in the show notes. Is there anything that you would like to share about your work, about how people can find you, things like that?
Yeah, right now I'm most active on Instagram
Yeah,
at Canon underscore. And for work right now, the main thing that we're working on is the retreats we host in Colombia, and
yeah,
that's at huascacolombia.com. That's it.
amazing. And where? Where in Colombia? Which
This
part?
is in Pereira. This is in
Yeah.
the region, yeah, in the
Ah,
back.
yeah, I've been.
Uh,
Amazing. Thank you, Nico. Hope to see you soon. Have an amazing day. Thank
Likewise.
you, everyone, for watching, for listening. Please reach out, to give us your comments on whatever this brought up. We touched so many different things. And yeah, see you next time. Mm. Mhm.